Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Rule of Two off of their album Pheromones, titled Hail the Minotaur. And if we switch over to here, my understanding is that I'm reviewing a track off of this album. I'm wondering if it's specifically meant to be a specific track. I'm not sure, so I'm going to review the first one with the understanding that I might be reviewing the wrong track. But we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, Hail the Minotaur from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. A good place to start is, of course, you know, the opening track of an album. Oh, the bass and the guitars? That's pretty sexy. I like the tone of those. Oh, nice and thick sounding. Drums are EQ'd really nicely. Is this kind of progressive? I kind of dig it. Ooh, that's very competent. Great lead work.
Machine. Heart made of iron, never tires, never sleeps.
Kind of reminds me of like bands like of Mastodon and stuff like that. Bombastic combination of elements here in the accompaniment. Great production value, and also the singing is sensational. The guy's got great pipes. Really sits well in that range. I didn't know you were dying, but your eyes betray your face. Oh, I get it. So they've got like a poker face or something like that.
So let's make the best of this life we have left of. All bow our heads and say, I'll have a Minotaur.
It's great to have everything kind of though just cut out at that point, just to let the hook line sink in, and smart move.
I'll have a Minotaur.
I kind of miss that opening sort of riff with the flickies, like the hammer on pull-off bits. I hope that comes back soon. Hey, it did. Excellent work, thank you. That's the power of a really great riff, is that you miss it and you want it to come back. You know, it's not necessarily a sad thing that that's my favorite riff when there's no vocals, for example. I think the guy has a great voice. I'm like trying to enjoy everything because I'm greedy.
Sympathy. Axe chopping down all, lopping heads off everything. The bodies like thousands, blood and smoke fill the air. On with the throne, his legend is known. No one would rise again.
Yeah, it's so tight. You know, like it's difficult to get these instruments sounding like this because they occupy some different, frequency spectrums. But Rule of Two is just smashing out of the park, both in terms of the tightness of the actual performance and the production itself. Unlimited compression is stunning, and the EQing as well.
So let's make the best of this life we have left of. I'll bow our heads and say, I'll have a Minotaur. I'll have a Minotaur.
Nice little bit of extra development there vocally.
I'll have a Minotaur.
Well, that's a very honky guitar tone. It's placed in the mix well, you know. It's very different sound. It's a very MIDI kind of tone to the sizzly kind of scooped parts of the rhythms. I suppose it's a deliberate thing though, isn't it? Kind of trying to occupy similar to space as the vocals. Great choice of ending note there as well. You could have resolved it to the key sig, but no, we butted a bomb. Or was that the note just up an octave? Maybe I'm tripping. The distortion on bass is fierce, dude.
Well, there's make-believe in the land of the lost, and there's fear, it seems, when you look to the cross. Come away with me to a place less posh. Open thine eyes.
Those sort of fourth chords, the bow bow down down, when we introduce a new element or like one returns like that, so spectacularly. It's great stuff. I'm not a massive fan of the guitar tone in that lead, actually. It might be a little bit too MIDI for my tastes personally, but at the same time I appreciate why it's been chosen there. I understand from a studio perspective. Great vocal fry. Oh, that low tempo. Great freeform there. A little bit of a breakdown here. This is neoclassical elements there, you know. It's like kind of like sludge rock or something like that. You know they could go harder than this, but they're within their element. A groove. Okay, interesting choice. Interesting choice. Because this is the conclusion of my review of Hail the Minotaur from Ruler 2 off of their Pheromones album. What do I think this track is about? Now, this one's a little bit mystical for me. I'm trying to figure out if the Minotaur is like a deity that they look up to, and when I hear about the person dying but their eyes giving it away, it kind of makes me wonder whether like we're referring to like the Minotaur in the maze or something like that, or if it's like an actual like the mythological representation of a Minotaur or something like that. Like I can see like Amun-Ra and stuff like that through it, so maybe we have a lot of mythological kind of references within this album, which I think is dope. I think it's really cool. I think it's a smart idea. But I think that maybe we are struggling. Maybe the song is about like people wearing masks and kind of like struggling to accept the god or like the person that they have to hail or look up to or support. And people know that it's like killing them to be like that, so they're asking them to take a step back and like just give in to it and hail the Minotaur, or maybe the Minotaur is their savior or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyways, there's probably a lot more to it. I'm happy to hear more about it and learn more about it, obviously. Yeah, cool story though. It's an interesting angle. I don't hear a lot of music about this kind of stuff specifically. So it's great for Rule of 2 to play around with expectations like that and kind of have more sort of essentially themed album. That's a little bit out of the boxes, you know, or out in the ordinary, should I say. I did enjoy the vocals as well. They were fantastic. It was more sort of conversational than anything like that. I think the guy had a great voice, like he was really singing to you, you know. It was a tale that he was telling there, and I think for a first track off an album, that's incredibly important. The reason it's important is because when you are trying to sort of encourage someone to listen through your album, you need to let the listener know that you're aware that they are listening to you, and you need to sort of like address and engage them, because otherwise the listener's going to get bored and go elsewhere, especially if you've got like tracks that are like 5:43 or something like that. Like, don't get me wrong, it didn't feel like 5 minutes 43. The track felt very, very short. Partly this was because they sang really well and they performed really well and they wrote it really well and they produced it really well. So all of those different elements meant that the track generally just was so well polished that it just flew by, without like an absolute hint of I'm 100%. I think that if this is the level of this track, this album is absolutely going to slap. And I do, before I go through this to conclusion, I do wish Ruler 2 the best of luck with their album. It's a big journey making an album nowadays, and for them to have released that, I think is fantastic, especially again if the tracks are like at this quality. But yeah, no, absolutely sensational vocalists, comfortable in their head, and they're definitely the chest voice. I'm not really sure if they go into the head voice that much, but they were comfortable there too. Nice little bits of like vibrato and like their nice little legato passages as well. I'm very aware of like key signatures in the males and scales and modes that accompany those, and just generally really great first impression to the way they tell stories and sing them. The motif for this track, they had kind of progressive rock kind of vibe to it. Some interesting decisions there with the chord progressions and bass lines. We did have distinct sections, which I also appreciated, different sort of chord progressions and concepts there that flowed effortlessly between one another. You know, for the intro with little flicky bits to like the more sort of conversational sort of verse parts, and then the chorus part just slaps you, man. And then the interlude and the solo section as well. Oh, there's a lot to appreciate and enjoy within this track, and I think it made the most of the 5 minutes 43 really well. In regards to the performance there, the guitar playing was exceptionally tight. The tracks that were recorded, especially the harmonies, sounded absolutely damn near flawless. The bass guitar was nice and low in that end, and it had a nice sort of kind of fiery distortion to it. It kind of glistened there, and the drums were phenomenally sidechained and just had great presence in the mix. And the cymbal work, and there was not a note out of place. Just when you combine that with really adept, competent vocals, you just have your bases sorted. It's going to be a banger of a track. And when your composition is strong enough to include sort of melodies and chords that are a little bit outside of the box, or mess with semitonal or chromatic sort of shifts in the bass line, or again the chord progression, when you've got unusual sort of ideas and ways of going between these different parts, you know you're in for a good time as long as it's done in a way where we know what works and what doesn't. And there was not a single, again, there wasn't a note out of place. The production, the recording, mixing and mastering to top it off was absolutely phenomenal. Again, like, I'm not going to pretend I'm like the biggest fan of the guitar tone, but I understand the lead tone was like that primarily so that it could stand out amongst the rest of the vocal and the rhythm guitar elements, so that was absolutely fine. The actual quality of the recording of the vocals and the drums and everything else was sensational, nice and professional, crisp, and there weren't sort of weird resonant frequencies, and that's partly, I think, not only because of the recording, but also because of the EQing and the various filtering on the various instruments and stuff like that. All of that was done extremely well. In addition to that, you know, like, it was nice and wide in the stereo field, and the harmonies were like side by side and stuff like that, and it was great to listen to, really pleasant. The way it was arranged and sort of composed meant that there weren't any instruments that were fighting against each other for presence, you know, to be heard. And I like the fact that we took turns with the lead guitar or the vocal parts, so we kept them separately in the stereo field just to really help them to stand out. And I think just limiting compression as well is absolutely spectacular. I mean, like, all in all, this is the vast majority of it is absolutely positive, and anything else is just subjective. So yeah, well done to Ruler 2 with Hail the Minotaur off of their album Pheromones. Hopefully you enjoyed it, because this is my review of it. If you did enjoy it, please do show Ruler 2 some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.